Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. I am your host, Kay Purcell. I'm here with my incredible co-host, David Lee, who's right over here, and who's moved in his chair since I set this up, so I gotta redo this. Well, David, tell us who you are and what we doing here.
Hi, I'm David. I always find a very subtle way to screw with Kay's setup. But welcome to the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show, where we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better GM, how to be a better player, all with a focus on inclusivity and intersectionality. Oh my God. I swear
it's been a week, y'all. It's already been a week.
Yes. It's Tuesday, it's been a week, here we are. But the whole idea is for everybody to have a good time, for everyone to come to the party, for everyone to be a part of the party. The end.
And so if you're hanging out in chat, first off, thank you. We appreciate everyone who hangs out, everyone who clips, everyone who chats, and everyone who lurks, everyone who retweets. If you're supporting in any way, shape, or form, we see you, we appreciate you, and we thank you. I checked the music volumes earlier, but sometimes people move in their seats or things like that. Yep. So, if the music's too loud, please tell me. I really appreciate you. Additionally, y'all, I gotta show, my mama bought me this for my birthday, and it just arrived today. It released today, and I got it today, and I got the pretty hardcover, and I get to read about baby Lucian. And, okay, so, this book, pretty slipcover. I love the sun moon detailing on the back. Oh yes, new badges. Look at that. Look at that desperate ducky in chat. He's so nervous. So it's this very pretty, like, blue and purple with little gilding, and that's nice. Look at the inside of this cover.
Wow.
Look at the inside cover. The creepy eyeballs, y'all. So yes, this is what will be putting me to sleep or keeping me up for the next... How long do you think this will keep me, David? A month,
Couple days.
Maybe?
Yeah.
A month with Pokemon coming out.
Fair.
I will also say, I have to put the slipcover back on because, we treat our books right here, and if we don't, then Candace yells at me.
Super fair.
So, if you like Pokemon, I am obviously going to be streaming Pokemon when it comes out. I did a test stream. My overlay is already built. I really hope I get to see and potentially play Pokemon with you here in the future. But we're not talking about Pokemon today. Today, right now, we're talking about one-shots.
I mean, in a way, we're always talking about Pokemon.
Yeah. I will always gladly talk about Pokemon. David cannot get me to stop talking about Pokemon often.
Good. It is important to be passionate about things. The alternations got me. That's a little weird.
Yeah, we're. For those of you who don't know, I updated. We've had so many wonderful new subscribers come through, largely because of Godplane, and thank you to everyone who has joined us for Godplane and subscribed. Big hearts. That we unlocked other animated emotes, so I took David's sweat ducky and made it, and it's excellent. Rex, welcome. And I will always choose you. That was Rex's contribution with my terrible singing over top. Yay! So, welcome. We are talking about one-shots. Now, I have something of a love-hate relationship with one-shots. I love them in theory. I am always excited to play a one-shot. But I often walk away feeling just a little disappointed.
Not satisfied.
Yeah. Or the thing runs terribly over, and
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Or or it's I had a wonderful description, which I am 100% stealing from Candace because it was the best description I've ever heard. You're playing the one shot and it's fun and it's fine. And then you finish it and you're like, huh, that was kind of 3 encounters in a trench coat.
Yeah.
And it's like, But I love one shots. David knows, I have too many characters. I have too many heckin' characters. And one shots kind of lets me let a couple of them out to play. One shots, I get to do them for charity. And there's nothing better than getting to do something awesome and have fun and play games and raise money for charity. And so I love them. I love a lot of things about one-shots. I love writing one-shots. I love running one-shots. But wow, do I dislike it when one-shots are not satisfying.
I was going to say that I hate writing one-shots, but that's not true. Of the types of D&D campaigns and modules that one can write, one-shots are my least favorite. But that's mostly because there are only so many monsters you can stick in a one-shot. And there are always more monsters on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. I mean, most of the one-shots, if I told you write a one-shot and you went and did your thing and came back, I feel like 9 times out of 10 they would be a 2 to 4 shot.
Yeah. Yeah, the 4, yeah. And actually, that's happened.
Yeah, that's 100% happened. And that is part of the challenge with one-shots, is you have to do less content than you think you can do. Less content than you want to do. Because especially if you get a group of role players in there, role players can role play. And your encounters are not going to happen. And if you needed that encounter to like tell a story, well, now what you gonna do? So, between David and I like to think that we've come up with some decent ways of writing one-shots, of judging how much content we have, and of building them in a modular way. So, if you throw in a bunch of people and they're like, we're gonna roleplay and talk for the first 20 minutes of this, okay, cool, we can take out that first encounter and let them kind of do their roleplay thing and encourage them to be doing things while they're roleplaying. Whereas if you get a group of people that's like, who do we murder? We have enough monsters in there that we can throw things at them and keep them entertained for 3 hours. Because you can cover a surprisingly little or a hell of a lot amount of ground in 3 hours. Plus, minus time for a break.
Right. And that's that's one of the complaints I have about one-shots, is part of what makes TTRPGs, especially streamed TTRPGs, so engaging is the performances that your players give. And in a lot of ways, you don't have the room to really get to know or develop or fully investigate your characters. And like we've talked before, one of the complaints that we have is somebody shows up with this like really in-depth, super unique character with all this intricate lore that you can't really get into in 3 hours, and then they're mad at you because you didn't get into all that stuff in 3 hours. But conversely, we like giving players the ability to really flesh out their characters, really demonstrate that to the audience, and communicate all the like quirks and personality traits of a character over a longer campaign. So that's one of the things that you have to navigate when it comes to one-shots.
And there is a skill to being both a GM of a one-shot and a player in a one-shot. There's no question. Because if you watch people who are really good at their craft, frickin' Abria Iyengar played in a level 20 one-shot for charity. And she was playing a satyr, and she managed to pull off an orgy in the middle of a one-shot, right? Like, wow. And GM's like, yep, that's exactly what you did, and here two of the three other party members are passed out next to you. Right? The other one's too uptight to do it, but, part of the thing about a one-shot is you have to be very tricksy. And, as a player, I have certain characters that I bring to one-shots because, God, as a GM, there's a ton to juggle. As a player, there's a lot to juggle, too. You want to obviously put on a good performance. You want to impress. Charity games are great. Charity one-shots are amazing if you're trying to grow an audience, right? One-shots are really fun to help you get to know a character and flesh them out, and how does it feel to be in their skin? Because sometimes you play a character, you have a character in mind, and you're like, yes, this character is going to be X. And then you get into the game, and you're like, oh, that's not the voice that came out. One-shots are a great way to navigate that. And they're a great way to start sprinkling in bits of information and creativity. But it really is an art to be able to do it. I really like bringing, when it comes to one-shots, especially charity games, I like bringing my Roxy, my Paladin of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and May, my little tiefling who turns into a galaxy light, Circle of the Stars druid. Because especially in charity games, you're often combating with a bunch of other big personalities. And if you're fighting for space all the time, if everyone's trying to be main character, it's a bad game. It's not a fun session when everyone is playing main character. So I have brought Soul to one-shots, but very specific versions of Soul and played certain ways. These two characters are a little more backseat, and they're shy but positive, or quieter but positive, and will absolutely uplift and shine the spotlight on other players, which makes you look really good, also gives the other players room to do what they're going to do. But also when I get to have my moment with that character, because I've been supportive that whole time, when May suddenly turns into a galaxy light and starts glowing and grows wings made out of a galaxy itself and flies in the air and casts Moonbeam with like 3 extra D6 radiant damage because of all the other things that she has, it's a really cool, awesome moment, and everyone gets to celebrate it. Whereas if I had brought in a really brassy, loud character who's fighting to take the lead the whole time, even if I'd scored an awesome critical, yeah, but I've been fighting.
Would have much less impact.
Yeah. So that is one thing I will say, if you're looking to play one-shots as a player, in streams, for charity, find your team player characters. It's easier to play a diva in a campaign in a longer setting. It's more rewarding to play a diva in those as well. If you can play divas and hold them back to a certain way to make them work in one-shots, I've done it. It's very fun. Candace figured out exactly what my character's issues were, and we had so much fun sorting through that last minute, unexpected in the moment. But you can't expect that from everyone, especially with people you haven't played with a lot. David, give me some thoughts about one-shots.
I have something controversial to say about one-shots.
Oh boy.
You don't need to bring a healer. Now, there's this, and there's this whole misconception in a lot of the D&D community that every party needs to have a healer. This isn't a dungeon in World of Warcraft. Whatever your party composition is, it can be viable. That's why I love Carrie's series of like, oops, all blank. like oops all rogues, like 5 rogues who are trying to steal a thing is a great idea, as evidenced by the fact that we've done that. Mechanically speaking, and there are other people who've done the math on this, but unless someone is critical, like on death saving throws, statistically it is a waste of a round to spend energy healing. But let's ignore that. Let's ignore the math and that, and instead let's think about one shot design. Because in one shot design, you have you put in 3, maybe 4 encounters, and depending on your one shot and depending on your players and your setup, you might only get to 2 combat encounters. There are other types of encounters besides combat, but if you get 2 big tentpole combat encounters in a one shot, you've done a great job. Like, you've really moved things along. And in a one shot, typically you don't have a lot of like long rests. You don't have a lot of things that are broken up. You don't get diseases, and you don't get other things that you necessarily need a dedicated healer for. And so, and there's another argument that combat isn't about that particular encounter, but it's about resource management. The idea is to drain resources over the course of an adventuring day or whatever. But you don't have to worry about all that, because it's wham bam, thank you ma'am, you get in, you get out, you're done. So when it comes to healers, if you want to bring a cleric, if you want to bring a paladin, if you want to bring whatever class loaded up with healing spells that you want, great, fantastic, brilliant. But it is more entertaining to the audience, and it is more pertinent to what you're doing to have a character that can synergize better with the other characters and do more to interfere with and or hurt your opponents than bringing a healer. And also, the idea of like, because there's always a team mom, there's always somebody who's herding cats, and I think it's unfair and unnecessary to make that person also bring the healing spells. Like,
I'm also going to say, if you're coming to play a one-shot and everyone's called classes and you say, I'm bringing a wizard, don't bring a wizard who's deliberately built to be useless in combat. That does not make for a fun one-shot. We have experienced this, just so you know.
Yeah, if all of your cantrips are like light prestidigitation, mage armor's a cantrip, right? And
No.
like color spray. You're right. But like, yeah, color spray.
I don't even play magic users usually. Yeah, and like all of your abilities are like melt into stone, and like literally you don't have a single offensive spell. Like heck you.
Detect good and evil.
Heck you.
It's like, okay, great.
Rex Verde says, I played a kobold necromancer, very shy, brutal when provoked. When it was time for a long rest, we got a reveal that the rest of his pack/family was dead, and that's why he didn't want to sleep alone.
Aww.
Baby dragon needed to hoard people.
Right. Baby dragon needs hug. That's it.
Movie versus ongoing series for your character. Worst day versus an epic tale in writing. Yeah, like, one-shots are about completing an adventure in one little setting. So, like, bring in, and one-shots are where an experienced player can actually kind of be, the experienced player mindset could be a little bit detrimental, because you don't necessarily know when you're going to fight that big bad, right? You don't know when the last big fight encounter is going to be. I was playing a game where it was a one-shot run by my amazing friend Kat, who is wonderful. And yes, I love Oops All Bards. I've not done an Oops All Bards. Also, I want to see an Oops All Bards with Candace. I can't wait.
Right.
But Kat was running a game, and it was not clear if we were fighting the big bad, because the big bad was a very unassuming thing. A little gnome who we were waiting for something bigger and badder to show up. And we accidentally kind of started combat, rolled initiative, and the GM, like, especially since a lot of the party was a little more unexperienced, the more experienced ones of us are like, do I use the big spell? And she's like, you don't know when the next encounter will be. This is it. You should use it. You should use it all right now. You should use it all right now. Because after that, it became a little bit of a fold down of like, this is what all of your actions resulted in. And she took time we all got magical items to celebrate. So you can actually kind of hamstring yourself by being like, I'm going to hold back. I even somewhat did this in the one shot that Candace and I played in with D'Angelo, where I was like, I've got this cool spell, and when am I going to do it? And okay, I'm going to hold off for this last big fight. And then we finally came up against the Warlord, and I'm like, this is the big fight. I'm going to do it. And I unleash holy hell on this individual. And the GM's like, I cast Prestidigitation, and I turned the big bad into a frog. We weren't actually supposed to fight the big bad. We were supposed to talk to the big bad. So D'Angelo's like, I get a save after each turn, right? I'm like, no, nope. It just happened. And he's like,
yep.
Well, I'm going to force this. Because you weren't supposed to fight it.
But we've all finished an RPG full up on potions. Like, everyone has had that experience. Where it's like, I'm going to need this later. And then later comes and you're like, but what if I need it later? And it's like...
It's the final boss fight. But what if I need one of those 99 healing potions after the game is over?
Right. Like, what if there's another phase? Well, like, the end credits are rolling. There might be another phase. Fun fact, there are games where the credits and the post-credits are still a boss fight.
But yes, when it comes to building one-shots, if you were like, I need to get better at building one-shots, or I want to run charity one-shots, how... So this is the big question and challenge, right, David? How do you set up a thing where everyone ends up together, you get all the players together, which, number one, getting all the players to get there and agree to go on the adventure is often like pulling teeth. I was in a game with someone who was like, my character, like, we all got you, and you. We're all going on this, go. We're going to go do this. What's your name? And the person's like, out of character, my character wouldn't answer because my character is a secret agent and they don't want to reveal their thing and they want to wait here for their contact. And it's like, cool, this is a one-shot.
Right. You got a boogie.
So, got to get everyone rowing the same direction. Just getting everyone rowing the same direction in a one-shot can be very difficult. Number two, you got to, like, have some exciting stuff for people to do. If you're able to drop in some lore or some kind of cohesive story around that, even better. And number three, you got to make it like a rewarding ending. Or else, as Candace coined so well, or else you end up with 3 encounters in a trench coat. Pretending to be a one-shot. Pretending to be a story.
Right. And I think... And it's not just on the players. A lot of it is on the GM, but also a lot of it is on the module design. Because if you don't have an inciting incident, if you don't have something that gets the ball rolling, then you have to wait for your players to get the ball rolling. Or as a GM, you then have to like prod and hope and pray and demand that they get the ball rolling.
So if you have watched any or many or have heard about the one-shots that David and I have run, we run a lot of heist one-shots. Why? Because it gives you two really great things right off the bat. Number one, you can give people a role. You can assign people a very loose archetype to live up to. Okay, everyone, we're doing a heist. It's a Christmas themed heist, or we're breaking into a magic user's house. We're doing a heist. You can bring whatever class, whatever character you want. But we need someone to play the leader. We need someone to be the newbie. We need someone to be good at maps, and we need someone to be the traps expert. Right there, that makes it not impossible. Let me just be clear. Not impossible, but much more difficult for players to be like, my character's from another world, and they don't really, like, now everyone's at least rowing the same direction. Okay, know each other or not, right? We're all gonna do this together, and my role is this. What character? And that kind of gets people, you're not dictating, are they good? Are they bad? Are they competent? Are they incompetent? They can do any of that they want. But we're at least rowing the same direction. We're all facing the same way in the boat, which is awesome. That's number one. Number two, it does a great thing of heists usually have a ticking clock. There is automatic time pressure in a heist, and that makes people do stuff.
Yep.
Because there's nothing worse. In a campaign, it's totally fine because you do have a little bit more time then to get to know the characters, to have some downtime. In a one-shot, go, do a thing. Don't sit around debating what are we going to go. Go, do it. At one point, I thought I was really heckin' brilliant because I was like, okay, the way I'm going to kick off this one-shot is it's going to start in this thing. It's going to start in this one tavern, and I'm going to tell everyone, you are at this tavern for a reason, and you can tell me what that reason is, right? Maybe and the examples I gave were like, maybe a fortune teller told you something was going to happen there. Maybe your boss told you leave work early and here's, you had a good week. Here's, some silver, go spend it having a drink. Maybe your god is calling you there for reasons unknown. Go there. Thought that was great, right? Everyone is there with an expectation that something's going to happen here. Awesome. And then someone showed up and is like, my character's waiting for their contact here, and they're not going to leave until that contact shows up.
Pain. Absolute pain.
The world is literally ending outside. Do you think maybe your character can step away from their contact for 2 seconds to go? No? Okay. I'm going to go rethink this plan.
Right.
So, yes, to a certain extent, a lot of it is on the GM, the module design, create a reason for people to be there. But also, if you're coming in as a player, on a one-shot especially, please be ready to go with the flow. We're begging you. Yep. GMs of one-shots are begging you to go with the flow.
And honestly, I approach everything I run the same way. One-shot, short campaign, long campaign. In the session 0... in the first email, I go, listen, everybody who's playing this, regardless of what your character motivations are, regardless of what your character backgrounds are, you are here to work together for a mutual goal. The end. And if you're not on that boat, if you're not trying to do that, then bring a different character. Because if we get into episode 1 and your character goes, well, I wouldn't do that, then I'm like, great. These 4 people, they go off and do the cool thing, and your character sits there, bye, thank you for the chips. Like.
Also, Rex is hilarious and brutal. Rex says, your contact's corpse crashes through the window with a note stuck to their chest with a dagger. Also, they're on fire.
Actually,
yes.
I might start a one-shot that way.
That would be very fun. Now we got Candace here, who helped run the Rainbow Roll. We've got Domakame here. So I got to show off what they made and sent me. Look at these amazing patches. I love them so much. Great work, y'all. This was from a series of one-shots that Candace ran 2 of them. I got to play in 1 of them for the Trevor Foundation for the month of June for Pride Month. And it was amazing. And these are so pretty and huge. Like, they are not small.
Yeah, they're gigantic.
They are not small. I can't fit them in my mouth. I can't fit them in my mouth.
That's giving me ideas.
Hey, Saucefire. But yes, so yes, David, what tips do you have around designing modules that will get people going?
So, back to what I said earlier. Plot for encounters. They don't have to be combat encounters, but plot for encounters. Do not make your first encounter talking to the quest giver. And there are all sorts of different ways you could describe. They're the quest giver. They're the person with the exclamation point above their head that says, "Go get me 10 chicken livers, and bring them back here, and I will give you this bag of gold, and like a moderate amount of XP." Like, do not make one of your encounters dealing with the quest giver. The other thing is, start as close to the end as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I'm developing a module right now where it's basically a one-shot with extra steps, because the party spends the first 3 or 4 sessions setting up the event, and then they go and do the event. So start near the end, 3 or 4 encounters, and be ready to throw away any of those encounters except for the final one, because your players are smarter than you.
Yeah. Rex Verde was saying, EXU made me rethink how to get players hooked. And yeah, if you can start in action, or a thing that I have 100% stolen, especially for Godplane, cold opens. I love cold opens. I love grabbing a group of players and saying, like, hey, we're going to start a thing. It works great for one-shots, too. We're going to start a thing, and we're going to just go with it. It's not going to make sense. It will after. If it's all like, hey, you all are mid-combat, go. And then everyone's like, okay, we finished the fight. Why are we fighting? It's very fun. Or starting with the ceiling starts falling. What do? Giving people those big moments and then letting them come together and introduce themselves that way. Because look, I do love, we all meet in a bar and we're talking in the tavern, and then something happens and we go and do it. It's awesome. Those are fun. But also, you're trying to grab an audience, especially for a charity stream. You're trying to grab an audience and immediately build excitement. And nothing builds excitement like a great big WTF. But as David said, build encounters, not just fights. Build modules. Build little modular parts that you can stick together. Because if you budget 2 minutes for the party to get through a door, guess what's going to happen?
15 minutes later, the door is not open.
You're going to, you're oops all rogues, and every one of them rolled below a 3. And they've all got broken lockpicks now. And how are you going to... So start having these ways you can get around things. Start having ways to nudge people in the right direction, because sometimes a riddle will completely stall the party, and sometimes someone will be like, this riddle's gonna be tough, and you look at them and go, I have no idea. And Gabe is like, heck.
Right.
That
When is
was
a door,
the answer.
not a door. And if you're having trouble getting through a door, remember two things. One, the Critical Role people are notorious with doors. And two, in Lord of the Rings, the original lore for all of this, Gandalf the Grey sat at a door reading the inscription for 12 hours before he figured out how to open the thing. So do not feel bad. If Gandalf gets stumped and he's a supernatural wizard that has lived for hundreds of years, then you are allowed to get stumped.
So, I want to talk about, David, how we built our charity, our Christmas charity one-shot. Because we probably could run that again.
No, we're a different one.
Yeah, we're doing a different one. So, we built a charity heist. Christmas. So instead of doing like roles, the only real role we had was we had a leader and then we had like the insider. It was the setup was I know this class name, a ranger, had their companion animal, which is a horse, stolen. And they had hired a group of ne'er-do-wells to go on Christmas Eve because they knew that the person who stole the horse would be out on partying on Christmas Eve. So you're going Christmas Eve into Christmas Day to go and steal their horse back. So we started in a bar, in the tavern, let everyone talk, and went over the plan. Then open a portal. Poof, they're in a snowy place in an attic. It's supposed to be empty and quiet. They hear a party below. So we give them some time to mess around. We're doing something different. Sounds like y'all got something already in the oven. I mean, yeah. We're trying, Kato. We're trying. And thank you, Tomakame. I love doing the cold opens. I really do. Cold opens in Godplane are one of my favorite moments of just a cool way to spotlight every character and give them their little history without taking away from anything else. Anyhow. So we decided, okay, there's several ways they can go about it. They can go try and pick a fight. They can sneak around. And as they snuck around, they found a little dragon.
Yeah,
He's
so
a peppermint
here's
dragon.
Here's how Kay makes charity one shots. She starts with puns. She writes down 5 or 6 puns and then goes from there.
I made a little dragon who's a peppermint dragon who can breathe condensed sugar in a cone and puts everyone in haste in that cone. Okay, what have you done? What have I done? Look, here's the thing. You got to be careful. If you're playing in a Saucefire one-shot and you don't move and you refuse to go follow the plot, he'll drop a moon on you. I've seen him do it. The Peppermint Dragon's breath is so fresh. Yes, and Moe, so his name is Moe the Peppermint Dragon, and he's got a little bit of a memory problem. He just lives in the moment.
Still hurts.
Anyone? David
hurts.
will never forgive me for it.
Never.
So we gave them the chance that could have been a big encounter there, but they decided to be sneaky, which was smart, and they went out, and then we basically had like 2 branching paths. You can go follow the path across the river, or you can go through the woods, over the river or through the woods. Your call.
Like I said, you write down 4 or 5 puns, and then you're off to the races.
And so we had 2 different encounters based upon what they would do. I won't tell you what the forest one was because we're stealing that. That's one of my favorite. Moment Dragon. He's Moe, the mint dragon, and he lives in the moment. But we had you walk across the bridge, and a snowman looks at you. And the snowman is not just a snowman. He's a snowchromancer. So he doesn't actually fight you himself. He just raises little tiny snowmen from the ground. So that's a fun encounter for people. They have to battle waves and waves of little tiny things. And should we talk about the snowman, David?
So like I said, you jot down 5 or 6 dozen puns, and then you're up, because Kay drops like 8 different names for this snowchromancer into chat to me at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, it's too early for all these puns. And what she settles on is Owen Wilson.
Snowen Wilson.
Right. But a snowchromancer. So it's Snowen Wilson. And of course, I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, okay, well, if they make little snowmen, then those would be Snowman Wilsons. And then I drown myself in a toilet.
And yes, you can either kill Snowen Wilson or you can remove his hat. And Snowen Wilson speaks Infernal, Gnomish, and 1 word of Common, which he only speaks if you either kill him or take his hat, which is wow.
I hate it so much. So much.
So for charity games, this stuff is ridiculous, and it's great fun, and the audience is entertained, and it's like, yes, that's painful. I will donate to make this better or worse. Saucefire is calling the cops. What? It was great. Fight me. We raised a lot of money for charity that night.
Yes, we did.
And so then we had a bunch of other stuff. We had a wishing well. We had all sorts of cool stuff. But by that point, we're like, this thing's almost over. We probably could have done the wishing well, except then someone donated a whole lot of money to make something bad happen. So we had a flying owl bear attack the party. No, you cannot stop my mayhem. Never. So again, we had it modular. We had a bunch of different things that we could drop in, and we started pulling them out or putting them in, depending upon time and donations. Double whatever you made last year during Mercy Road. So then we had them get to the barn, and we're like, cool, you're in the barn, the horse isn't there. The ranger's like, okay, they must have ridden my horse off to whatever the family event thing was. They'll come back. So have everyone get into place. Here's the map of the barn. What's your ambush? How are you doing it? What's your plan? Right? We set everything up. They convince Moe to breathe sugar breath on the barbarian. So first round, the barbarian can be hasted. Because a hasted barbarian is great news for me, the GM.
Yeah.
And I suppose the snitching well, where donations release random plot fact. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We don't police language in one-shots, otherwise we get stuck in a cycle of rhyme and punishment.
Oh my god.
Rex. And so yeah, then we had, the barn doors fly open. They were snow blind, but there was a target. Everyone hit. We did 1 round of a metric ton of damage. And then we put in the big reveal that actually one of the players was a plant and was actually trying to steal a reindeer. And they were attacking Santa Claus. And our hasted barbarian had just dealt a crap load of damage onto Saint Nick himself. And everyone had pretty much knew this was coming, except for the dude playing the barbarian.
Yeah.
And his reaction was just so good. So then it became a fun little in-game moment of like, what do we do? How do we counter this? You know, do we continue attacking Santa? Do we attack, you know, a henchman showed up for the ranger? Do we kill the ranger? Do we restrain the ranger? What all do we do? And that kind of complete mayhem, because let's be honest, combat in D&D is kind of one of its weakest and least entertaining parts. So anything you can do to shake that up and make that more exciting is always awesome. Did anyone clip that reaction? I don't recall. I'm not sure if I did. It's on my YouTube. I should probably do a short little cut. I should do one of those dramatic zoom-ins of him.
That'd be a great promo for our upcoming charity event.
Yeah. So that was kind of our approach. Do give the party some, you know, obviously there's a clear finish line. Get to the barn and save the horse. But we gave them a couple options so they didn't feel railroaded into anything. I mean, for all they knew, it could have been the same encounter in both places. It wasn't, because we're extra, or at least I'm extra. And then, again, find unexpected and fun ways to shake up combat, because combat can get to be a little bit of a slog.
And another really important thing that you would think people wouldn't overlook, but having observed more than one charity stream, I've seen people give your audience an excuse to donate. Give incentives. Give, you know, if you donate this much, this person gets a thing. Or if you donate this much, this bad thing will happen. You know, give your audience a way to reward their favorite players and to punish their most hated players. Especially if you set up something sort of like adversarial. And also, and this is something that I've never heard anyone talk about, make sure your donations are open before and after the show.
Mm-hmm.
More than once I have heard someone say, oh man, I missed such and such stream, but I wanted to donate to blah blah blah, and I clicked on the link and it's expired.
Mm. If
you're doing a one shot, at least day before, day after, make sure those donations are open. You know, I personally have donated to a cause a week after the stream was over.
Mm-hmm.
Because it popped up on my Twitter feed. I clicked on it. I was like, oh, I dig that children's hospital. That reminds me, I should donate to them. And luckily, through the link, the people who put on the event got credit for my donation because it was still open. Like, the charity is going to get the money either way. But, you know, now that person can go into next year, or that production crew can go into next year and say, hey, our totals are higher than the end of the show.
Absolutely,
Rex says, I will front load a stream with chaos if I can, so the DM has time to, in parentheses, make evil plans.
And, you know, for Rainbow Roll, it doesn't always have to be, you know, not all of your donations have to be game-changing, but Candace wrote up, with the help from one very skilled David Lee, wrote up a bunch of haikus. And anytime we got a donation, for every donation of X amount, we'd read off a thirsty haiku in the middle of a game. And it was a hilarious little break and something we all looked forward to. And, you know, depending when the spirit moved either of them, there would be haikus around certain characters, or built for asexual characters, or super saucy ones. And it was so much fun to see which one we were going to get. I'll also say this. If you have a make things worse donation, if you have an option to make everything worse, sit on that until a narratively appropriate moment. Don't, if you come into the game and someone has donated $50 to make things worse, don't make the party spend 20 minutes getting into the first building because you've suddenly put 4 times the number of guards. That's not fun. Sit on it until they're in a bad situation and then make it worse and then say, by the way, thank you, donator. Thanks to you, 2 owlbears just showed up. And watch the party freak out. That's why you donate, not so they're like, oh, I've got 6 guards to fight now. They were very spicy. The haikus were very spicy. Filthy haiku breeze rolling through all night. That is my make things worse. You 100% make good on the donations, but you don't have to use it the moment they come in.
Right.
When Sauce gives the party in Godplane shards to screw my couch, we don't use them on the very next roll.
Yeah.
But yes, David and I have rambled quite a bit about design, about GMing them, about playing in them. Do any of you all have stories or wishes or questions around one-shots? Good, bad, happy, terrible? I'll also say this, especially if it's a streamed one-shot, especially if it's a streamed charity one-shot. If you are hoping or needing, if it's gone over and you're hoping people will stay longer, or if it's grown way out of hand and you're wanting to have a part 2 and see if everyone will come back, don't ask on air.
Right.
Say, I would love to go longer, or I would love to do a part 2. I'm going to ask the players if they can do it. Don't make people give you an answer live on air, because no one wants to be the person to say no. And I saw someone do this, and this is why I yell all the time. Someone was like, hey, we went an hour over on an already 4-hour one-shot. Asked at the 4-hour mark, would everyone be okay with going? And of course, you don't say, especially if it's a big audience and an audience you don't know, you don't want to be the one to say no. Like that, especially if you are not a cis-het male. If you're not white, man, straight, right?
And there are also so many better ways to do that.
Yes.
Like, every game that we've run, we've had some sort of like collective group chat with everyone involved, and we've also had individual pipelines to each of the players where we can go to someone privately and say, hey, is this okay? Is this not okay? You can tell me here, and then it's not a big deal for everyone.
Yeah. And this one GM, super well-meaning, was just so excited to continue the story and was like, is everyone okay with going another hour? And everyone was kind of like, we were all tired, but it's for charity. And one of the players typed into chat, into the Discord, hey, I am 7 months pregnant and the baby is mad that I'm sitting this long.
Right.
And he didn't do anything with that information.
Yikes.
So, there's many reasons. How do you keep a one-shot punctual? Well, I'm not going to lie, there's a certain amount of witchcraft.
And you get a K. Because K has this supernatural ability of always landing the plane within 15 minutes of when you're supposed to stop. Especially if it's a one-shot. Like, if the one shot is 3 hours, then at 2 hours and 52 minutes, the big bad is dead. And then Kay is like, all right, now plug your pluggables. Give us your handles. We're getting off the air.
So, to a certain extent, a lot of that is feeling out the pacing of things, right? If you watch a lot of one-shots, especially, let me be clear, if you watch a lot of GMs who are really good at one-shots, because you can watch a lot of really bad one-shots and not learn all that much other than what not to do. Watch a couple people who are really good at one-shots and land in the plane. You get a feel for it. Again, I'm gonna be very. This could be seen as very like. I don't mean it as like classist or anything like that, but really good performers, really good storytellers, if you set them up for an arc, they tend to naturally want to finish it. It's kind of like, we've talked about this before, but when you're singing, you know, and you get to, no one knows all the 12 days of Christmas, right? But you go, ha da 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 ha da 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 da, and then people are leaping in from other rooms. 5 gold rings, right? You get good performers, and they can feel that 5 gold rings moment coming. And so if you get people who know the pacing of storytelling, who know how to do streams, who know all this, they make it so much easier to land the plane. So to a certain extent, yeah, do trust your players. Set them up and trust that they're going to dunk it. Build module things. If the Skyhull Tower, which I've run a couple times, both with David's help and for David as a player, there's specifically lore tucked in there. So players can go through, and if they're the snoopy investigative pull it all together types, they can do that. They can go through and find the information and start figuring out what is the riddle, what's the puzzle of why this tower is the way it is. However, not every party is like that, and I specifically, at the end, put in a new NPC that didn't exist in the original module who could extrapolate. And if players missed information, or if they just didn't care to do the investigation, they could lore dump at the very end, so at least everyone would have that answer. So have a couple different ways to get people information, have a couple different ways for people to get around things, be ready to, again, in a campaign, if your players make bad decisions or fail a roll, it can be funny to let them flounder. It's way less fun in a one-shot. Figure out ways to remove roadblocks and help get your players there. If combat is really just a slog, figure out how you can help your players. Maybe make it worse narratively, but get the combat, put in the combat. Let people fight. Let people have their big moments. Fudge the dice rolls if you gotta, to get them out of it and get the story moving. Everything you want to do, it's about momentum in one-shots. Make that momentum happen however you have to. The Royal Expositionary Force. Vital folks to have in your NPC catalog. Yeah. Give them the required information. In campaigns, I often say, get out of your character's way. If you watch Godplane, there's a lot of time where I just shut up. I just let the characters go. I want people to roleplay, and I'll let them do it. You've got to be you as the GM have to be a little bit more in their faces in a one shot, but you want the obstacles to be there to provide interest. And the minute those obstacles are no longer being interesting, the minute they're being boring or frustrating or not fun, get them out of the way and get to the main story, because you've only got 3 hours to tell the second story. 3 hours minus 10-minute break, which always ends up being closer to 15.
Yes. And for storytelling nerds out there, another really important thing that you should do is look at the format of your story. because there are archetypal stories that fit a short, sweet one shot, but then there are others that very much do not. Like your chosen one found in a village who eventually saves the world storytelling type is not a one shot. Your the Shakespeare Tempest. Tempest is not a one shot format, nor is a Midsummer Night's Dream. A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Like things like heists. A great idea that I just had is everyone knows like the Lethal Weapon format where you have a cop that gets fired or gets in or suspended or gets in trouble, slams their badge on their captain's desk, and then they go out and solve the crime. That section, like you cut out the beginning and you go slams badge on desk, goes to the warehouse and busts the villains, is a great one shot.
Yeah. Any story with a high pressure timer on it. Part of the fun of Skyhold Tower is that tower is falling, and it's going to crush Waterdeep if you don't do a thing. Great one-shot material. Better two-shot material, because that module, it's a fun module. It's not perfect. David has seen me. I've made some changes to it because I started reading it, and I'm like, there's exactly one not male NPC, and she's a complete biatch.
Yep.
Maybe I should rewrite some of this so that it's not just women are mean and men do cool stuff.
Because really, men are mean and women do cool stuff. No.
But there's a timer, so.
And there are plenty of storytelling. There's plenty of storytelling tropes where all you have to do is either snip out the first act or snip out the second act. The most important part of your module is how you land the plane. Like you were addressing earlier, everyone loves resolution. And so you want to make it so that that resolution is not just attainable, but pretty much guaranteed, but not looking like it's guaranteed. Like you got to throw smoke and mirrors there. And yeah, we could design encounters or design a module that's 50-50. They might not make it, but that 50% not making it isn't going to be as satisfying for the players or for your viewers. Unless, of course, it's one of those games where you gotta, where everybody's paying to sabotage these people.
Yeah.
But that is few and far between.
Right. Every so often, especially charity games, it's like, no, wipe the party. We will give you all the money to wipe the party. And at that point, if your players are good sports about it, that could be very fun. But they have to know that that's a possibility going in. Communication, 0 sessions, getting everyone on the same page. It's very important. Also, and this can seem very difficult to do in a one-shot, but I promise you with a little creativity, you can do it. One key to making one-shots really satisfying is make sure you find a way for player choices to matter. In the Christmas one-shot, you asked, if you take off Snowen Wilson's hat, what happens? Well, he falls apart. But also, you can then put on Snowen Wilson's hat, and you gain access to a snowball, which is basically magic missile. It does 1d4 of damage, but it's a bonus action. It's guaranteed to hit, So, choosing to pick up that hat, and then deciding who gets it, for those of you who don't know, our inside player, knew that as soon as the party figured out that they were attacking Santa, they knew that was going to be used against them. So they convinced the party to give the hat to the dragon. so that the that was fun. There were layers to that. And then, being able to tell the party after the fact, no, going to the bridge actually gave you that Snowen Wilson encounter. Had you gone here, you would have thought, I'm not revealing that because I'm using that monster later. I love that monster. That's one of my favorite ones we've ever done. Dungeon Glitch, Matt, was in a game that I ran, and early on, he asked each of us to come up with, answer a couple questions. What's an NPC that would be in your character's background? What's something your character wants? And so as we were introducing each character, he was like, hey, I was playing Roxy. He's like, hey, Roxy, you arrive here, you're given this mission. What do? Do you go to the temple? Do you go to the barracks, or do you go to this other place? And Paladin of the Flying Spaghetti Monster went to a temple. Learned a little bit more about, went into the game with more information. Whereas if I'd gone to the barracks, I would have had a couple soldiers that I could have called in to do one round of attacks. And if I'd gone somewhere else, I would have gotten something else. So that was a cool way of, you're showing the that was a beautiful setup for you're showing the personality of your character. What decisions do they make? How do they react to being in a new place? It also gives you a resource to use later, be it knowledge, be it, extra firepower. And every character got that little spotlight, so we all had a little something in our back pocket to be used later. So that was a really cool tip that I'm probably going to steal at some point or another. Tithe for him coming on the show, right?
And when it comes to ending games, when it comes to the third act, yes, you want your players to win, but remember that not all victories are created equal. And one of my favorite things to do, which I have not sprung on someone in a one-shot yet, but is your Pyrrhic victory. Yeah, you won, but at what cost? Yes, you won the bar fight, but now the bar is on fire and the town wants you dead. And we see that a lot in big adventure movies, especially adventure movies from the 80s. How many times have we seen Indiana Jones pillage some native artifact to stick in the British Museum, and right as he's walking out, the whole place comes down, and it's did you really win? Did you really do a good thing, Mr. Colonizer? Was this the move to make? Because now all the people who worshipped at that shrine are coming to kill you.
Yeah. And if you can set up even the illusion of a cliffhanger. So the Team Liquid game that I played with Gabe as my GM, it was a heist. We went in, we did what we were supposed to. We got back to the person who hired us. We handed over the item, and we watched that person transform into a different, very powerful god that, oh dear, we've helped the wrong person. And that's where it ended. We've done... that's a fun cliffhanger. There's also, if you want the warm fuzzies, there's really fun ways of okay, if you go the Big Damn Heroes route, because Big Damn Heroes can be fun. If you go Big Damn Heroes route, okay, you saved the town. You did a great job. Everyone gets a magical item. Doesn't necessarily mean that your character... I find this super funny because I get super excited for it. They're like, we're going to roll on a table, roll me a D100, and you're going to get a magic item. And I'm like, I hope it's one my character wants. And I roll it, and it's it doesn't matter. The one shot's over. I don't get this, but I want it to be the item that my character wants. We all want the reward,
Yeah, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you give a player something that they'll never ever don't give your monk a full set of armor, full breastplate. Your monk is going to stand there and look at it and be like, okay, well, what do I do? It's 50 pounds that I have to carry around now. Thanks.
But honestly, one of the best rewards that you can give your players after a one-shot is to reserve 10 minutes at the end of it to let them talk, to let them, what does your character do next? Where do you go after this? Did a romance bloom? Do you two try, who goes off into the sunset holding hands? To circle back to what Kato said, how do you land a one-shot on time? How do you finish this up? How do you budget? Leave at least half an hour for roleplay.
Absolutely.
At least half an hour. And if you can figure out a clever way to have your party accomplishing things while they are role-playing, win.
Even better. And remember that transit time is a good time for roleplay.
Yeah.
So, put your people on a wagon and have them ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, I have, as you've seen, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feels about one-shots. Are there any questions we missed? Any more questions you all have? Anything you would like to share? Any favorite moments? Because if not, we might look at wrapping this up a little bit. It's been about an hour, give or take a little bit more. We've talked a lot. I like to think there's some good stuff here. And again, the last tip that I will say is something that David and I have referenced previously. In a one-shot, if you're having a big... not every one-shot actually needs a great big evil character. They could be a little murky and fun, but if you're gonna have an evil character, you don't... Unless it's funny, you really don't need the big villain monologue. Kick the cat and get out of the way of the party. Yep. Set it up very obviously. And what are both of our favorite one-shots? I am straight up gonna say, I've watched a lot of one-shots. I've watched a lot of one-shots for charity. I have a lot of really great one-shot memories. I will never get over the one-shot I got to play with Candace with Connie Chang as our GM. They're fucking incredible. So that will just never... The fact that I got to be such a prick with Soul and Candace's character Bronwyn saw right through it at the exact moment and we got to have that awesome moment. That was great. There's a whole lot of level 20 one-shots that I watched. The one where, again, Abria was playing a satyr and managed to throw a orgy in the middle of a level 20 one-shot was just mwah. Again, the first time I got to play Mad This Way, which is my little Circle of the Stars tiefling, I got to play in Mercy Road with Herb, and it was I'm gonna try and play a flashy character. I haven't really played. Most of my characters are kind of subtle in looks and in, not necessarily personnel, but they're more subtle. I'm gonna try something really, really flashy. And I did it, and I was kind of how's this gonna go over? And Herb sputtered, and it was his turn next, and they were just hold on. That was, And I was yes, that was a good feel. Just as a viewer, and Saucefire, I consider this my apology, Sauce, for banning you from your own stream today. When I was watching the game where Saucefire, the party was they're you're supposed to go do this thing, and the party was not doing it, and the party was not doing it, and the party was just not following the plot, and they were hecking around, and they were not finding out, and Sauce dropped an entire moon on them. Just dropped, the moon fell on them, and the rogue is do I get a dex save? And he's yes, dex save against the moon. You're still dead.
Right, yeah.
The planet's on fire.
You take half damage from the moon.
Yes. It was great. That was just a favorite moment of oh, this is what happens when you just don't do what you're very clearly supposed to do in a one-shot. Thank you, Sauce, for setting a wonderful example. It was delightful.
So, it's funny because, I've watched a number of one shots. Unfortunately, I've watched a number of bad one shots.
Those
And
happen.
that's not any shade on anyone that I've worked with. Uh, I do make it a point to pop in on smaller streams, on streams that don't have the content that I'm necessarily looking for. So like if if there's like a one shot where it's a bunch of dudes and the whole idea is to like go to a brothel and like seduce Medusa, like I will turn it on and have that running in the background just so I can see how like the other half live. Um, but and when it comes to like the favorite that I've run, I'm not comfortable answering that question uh, because when I'm running something, I'm so focused on the production of it. Like even like doing the behind the scenes stuff with Kay, um, there are these moments that I'll really enjoy because it'll be a role play moment or some mechanical thing that we've planned out is unfolding. But as a whole, I don't really get to like watch the thing because there are a lot of spinning plates that I got to keep spinning. But the favorite of the ones that I've seen is Kay's first charity stream with Gabe. Now, I have seen some great ones like the Rainbow Roll, all 4 episodes, top notch.
Incredible.
Again,
Yes.
I don't know how I will ever get to the point where I could GM like Connie. But Gabe as the magical like thing that's like floating in a little box and is literally made of magic on an airship of gods. Top notch, hilarious,
Chaotic Fey
and
energy.
right.
And Roxy got to meet the flying
Gabe,
spaghetti monster.
right. And Gabe weaves a narrative and gives a performance that is world class.
And I want to say this very clearly. And I said this in character as Bo's mother on God Played last week. Don't be afraid or don't feel bad if you run a one shot and it's not very good. You often have to do something you are not very good at to become better at it. The first time you run a one shot, it's probably going to run over, so put way less content in there than you think you need. You get better at it, you get a feel for it. Again, before I ran a one shot, I had consumed so many streamed TTRPG sessions, one shots and full campaigns and short campaigns, that I was like, my brain has calculated some of this. I apparently absorb and learn that way. Don't compare yourself to me. Just like don't compare yourself to Matt Mercer. Just like don't compare yourself to a Bria. Tell the stories you want to tell. Tell the stories that are eager to come out of you. And maybe one shots aren't the format that you run. And I'm going to be completely honest. You can gather a pretty large, substantial audience on this platform if all you do is run mediocre one shots pretty constantly.
Yeah, if you're worried about turning out content that is the best make bad content. Do bad stuff and put it out there for 2 reasons. 1, the only way to get better at something is to work at it. And 2, I don't care how bad your content is. I have seen worse with bigger followings. The end.
Yeah. Is there a one shot you've not yet run that you would like to that we can look forward to in the future? David knows I want to run a Halloween monster dating one shot. I don't know quite how I'm doing it, but I want to. Oh, my conscience, that bite me sauce. Listening, nodding at that rubber ducky. Yeah. I mean, I've got so many stories. Right now, the story that I want to tell is a longer format in smaller chunks, and David knows I hoped to be working on this. I went, look, ideally, I want to be working on this, come summer of this past year. And I was like, I don't think that's reasonable. I think we need to be looking at starting it, beginning of the year. We're maybe going to be able to start it summer of next year. One-shots don't have to take a lot of time. Sauce has pulling together an entertaining one-shot down to a science and can get it together in one-page prep and can do that. I don't. I
Monster.
spend longer
Absolute
because, yeah, it's unfair. I am very... Okay, but there's got to be plot pieces that people can find and put together. There's got to be like a mystery thing that they can figure out. So I have to know what the mystery is. I take more work in it. It takes me even longer to pull together campaigns. For those wondering, when we initially started working on the God Plane, it took us about a year to put the God Plane together. So the thing I'm working on next, it's going to take a while because I want this to be a game that lasts for a very long time, but also putting it together in a way that will give me more breathing room. So I don't have to have a billion things. Plus 1K putting in so much effort into God Plane. Yo! Oh. Candace says, I'm gonna need more info on God Plane cast. Need more info of this God Plane cast in stuff. These guys are incredible. God Plane cast is so amazing. I am so happy. Yes. Have you seen Candace? Because Candace.
And
the answer is I want someone to send me all of the one-shot modules. If you have a one-shot that you're like, this is a great one-shot, please send it to me because I want to take it and like dissect it and make it my own. And absolutely be like, I am running this module based off of this thing with my own 21 original herbs and K spices. But I want all of the one-shots. If you have one-shot modules that you like, please send them to me. Please, I'm begging you.
To answer the question, is there a one shot that I've not yet run that I'd like to? Kay told me some time ago, hey, we're doing charity streams every holiday season. Get on it, or I will do something bad to you and everything that you care about. And I was like, I'm terrified. I'm on top of it. But the answer to the question is I have been turning over holiday one-shots in my head for quite some time now, and there are at least 4 that Kay and I will need to run over the next couple of years that all have things in them that I am very excited about.
Also, if we're talking about not one-shots, I desperately, and David knows this and I'm putting him on the spot, like I told people not to do, but we're friends, so I can do it. He likes the abuse. I desperately want David to run Dish Pit Witches for a small group of people.
Ooh.
And a monster dating sim where all the monsters are trying to seduce a sexy Santa. Also, it's Christmas, says Saucefire.
What about Dish Pit Witches for Mother's Day?
That'd be fun. So for those of you who don't know, Dish Pit Witches is a rules light-ish system, agnostic, where you are in the service industry and you have an antagonistic relationship with your GM, your general manager, and you have to use the power of teamwork and gay to teamwork, gay, and magic to foil your GM's plans. Both Dish Pit and Sexy Christmas. Take your mama out tonight. Cues up, Scissor Sisters.
But yeah, either Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, which are notoriously 2 of the roughest days of the year for both kitchens and waitstaff. And for those of you watching at home, don't go out for Valentine's Day. Uh,
And don't go out for
Stay at
Mother's
home and
Day.
cook. And definitely don't go out for Mother's Day. And if you go out for Mother's Day, don't make it breakfast. Don't do it.
If we do donations for Dish Pit Witches, then the audience can donate energy drinks to the waitstaff.
Yes. Perfect.
For those of you who don't know, I used to work for Red Bull. And one of the things we would do is whenever we would go out, whenever it would be like a company dinner or whatever, before the bill came, whoever was footing the bill for the company would look at the waiter and be like, of course it's Red Bull, so we would only go to restaurants where they served Red Bull. Right, we're Red Bull. And they would say, everyone in the kitchen who wants a Red Bull, order one and put it on our tab.
Aw. That's really nice.
It was cute. Also, David knows when I worked at Red Bull, I got way more Red Bull than I could ever drink for free. And so any delivery guy, any repairman, anyone who dropping anything off just walked out with at least 2 ice cold Red Bulls because I was like, thank you. I was very popular among those.
Now I want to buy cases of energy drinks and just find restaurants and then wait until somebody is sitting on a milk crate smoking a cigarette and then just walk by and be like, boom, here. And then like disappear into the night. That sounds like a good time.
We had an E3 booth and we had a bunch of Red Bull there and more of it than we could actually get rid of. So the second to last day of E3, I just started taking cases around to the booths, especially of companies that I knew, and just being like, hi, a gift from your friends at Red Bull. Here you go. And second to last day of E3, they loved me. Okay, real gamers drink Monster Energy sugarless because I'm conscious about my tum.
I will say, so energy drinks taste bad. And I don't mean to turn the talk show into a let's review energy drinks. But there are 2 monsters that are good. The mango juice one and the sugar-free. Out of the sugar-frees, the Monster sugar-free is the least offensive. Also, I don't understand why G Fuel decided that they are going to use the most attractive people on Earth to peddle to gamers in like Turkey or wherever. But I've never had G Fuel, and I will never ever have G Fuel, and I'm betting it tastes terrible. And I'm just glad these women are getting their money because I don't know anyone personally who goes out of their way to buy a G Fuel. I don't. Like, viewers, if you know someone who goes out of their way to buy G Fuel, send me their Facebook profile so I could block them. Thank you.
Well, it is getting spicy in here, and not in the sexy way. I'm going to one more time show off. I got a belated birthday present because this just came out. So if any of you are excited about the Nine Eyes of Lucian, this is a Critical Role novel, and I can't wait. I get to read it very soon. And I drink regular Gatorade, but G Fuel never had it. David is mad that my G Fuel flavor, Extreme Awesome Sauce, finally got approved.
I can't wait to feel that awesome sauce on the back of my throat. No. This is taking a turn.
We need Herb's ding button.
We need Herb's fan.
Fan. Mine is too much stuff between me and the fan.
Yes.
Okay, now it's sexy, says Candace. All right, y'all. So, wrapping this puppy up. One-shots. Love them or hate them. They can be very fun. They can be very frustrating. If you are playing in one, please go with the flow. Bring a character who can be a team player and make the bold decisions, because it's really boring if you don't. Go with the flow, make the bold decisions, have fun. If you're writing one, make sure you leave at least half an hour for roleplay. You probably need fewer fights than you think you do. If something is impeding the party's progress, get it out of the way. Make up plot. Ignore the siren, because of course Manhattan's going to be loud right now. David was...
Oh.
Go.
One thing that we didn't bring... Find great talent.
Find great talent.
Find cool people on the internet and be like, oh man, I loved your performance in blank. Can you be in this? Go ask them. Because I have seen both tweets and talked to people who were too big for our britches. Who went, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything that week. No one asked me to do things because everybody thinks I'm too big of a deal. Go ask them.
Go ask.
Also, Miley Cyrus, expect a text, a tweet at some point.
And I will say this every time: if you're doing a charity game, give people good reasons to donate, but don't necessarily use the donations right away. I.e., don't put 6 guards out front when there's only supposed to be 1 because someone paid to make it harder. Use that at an appropriate moment. And if you ask someone to join a one-shot for charity, no one owes you. They can say no. It's okay to say no. Don't be mad. It doesn't matter how cool your game is, how cool your anything is. No one owes you. No matter how cool your thing is, if you get incredible talent, if you are lucky enough like me to get to play with some of your favorite performers, that is a blessing. It is not a right.
If you make a list and the top 4 people all say yes, go outside and do a cartwheel.
Yes. But yes, leave half an hour for roleplay, at least. Build up to your last big encounter. Everything else should be able to be removed to get to your big encounter. Start strong. If you can start with a cold open or something big or surprising and exciting, that's going to get everyone involved. And if there's a way to put a time pressure on it, that's going to help get everyone to that big boss encounter as fast as they can. Try to make your players' choices matter. There's lots of ways to do that, but yeah, try to find a way to really let your players shine and not just make it 3 encounters in a trench coat. Sauce says, I'm lucky enough to have been able to play with Kay, oh god, who was once on the Chaotic Wholesome Talk show. I was like, in case y'all don't know, Sauce has run so many amazing one-shots for charity and has played with some of the biggest heckin' names out there. And I'm like, Sauce is gonna talk about all these awesome... Oh god, he's making fun of me.
Yep.
I was so excited for that. And here we are. I think that's all we've got. Any final thoughts for you today, David? Other than G Fuel?
Head empty, only G Fuel.
Okay.
I don't know when this became a slander G Fuel talk show, but here we are.
Well, how about I can make it not a slander G Fuel. I can make it David Payne Snowen Wilson with his Snowen Wilsons.
Yeah. Remember to live in the moment. Yikes.
I live in the moment. I'm literally going to be sleeping on your couch in a month. Yes. Saucefire and I... Oh, that's right. Saucefire and I and Candace will all be at PAX Unplugged. And hopefully we'll have something really cool to show you all real soon about what exactly we'll be doing there. But... with that, Chaotic Wholesome, proudly not sponsored by G Fuel. Yeah, G Fuel's not a good company. I worked for Red Bull. I worked for an energy drink company. G Fuel is... ugh. So yes, hi y'all. I'm Kay. I'm one of your hosts here. You can find me right here every Tuesday doing this with David. You can also find us both of us, though only I'm on camera, every Thursday, at least until... Oh god, I still have my October streaming schedule up. I gotta put up my November one. It's up on the channel. Y'all, I do this. This is the thing that I do on a regular basis, and I make like streaming schedules, and then I don't post them where I'm supposed to. You know. Okay, now that I have this open, you can find us for the next 3 Thursdays. There's only 3 more episodes of the God Plane left. David Tilstra will have 4 or 5 Waterdeep Tales. Yes! You can... Yes, Jareth, very soon. I'm getting yelled at. This is... The sad cat is being a sad cat. Yes, that is the sad cat yelling at me. God Plane is a horror campaign with the incredible Candace the Magnificent, who's hanging out in chat, with graphic design by Domokame, who's also hanging out in chat, who made a bunch of the emotes here. Thank you both. You're incredible. You can find me this Saturday at the Bard Rock Cafe. There is going to be... It's not a 24-hour stream, but it's a long relay race charity stream where I'm going to get to be playing... I think I'm going to be playing my Artificer, so that should be real fun. And you can find me every other Wednesday. That's new episodes coming out on the 9th on the Emergency Power Podcast, which is a homebrew Starfinder campaign. You don't have to know Starfinder lore to listen to it and enjoy it. And I get to play just my wonderfully terrible character who Candace got to meet in a TSL game. So please come back Thursdays to see Candace be amazing. David, who are you and what are we doing here today? And you got anything else? If you have anything else you haven't told me and I'm mad.
No, here's what I have. I'm working on our secret project, and I'm working on the charity stream that will be sometime during December. In addition to that, hi, I'm David. This is the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show, where we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, all with a focus on inclusivity and intersectionality, so that we all can have a good time.
Amazing. Who we got? Who should we raid today, y'all?
That is a good question.
That is a good question. I hate that the raid channel thing only shows me, like, they're like, here's 5 people you could raid. And I'm like, cool, who else is on?
Right.
So we could go see Xander. I do love me some Xander. Yeah, let's do that. Thank you all again for hanging out. This is David and I signing off. Oh, is Hype Goblin going? We'll do Hype Goblin.
Yep.
I can type. I'm getting a new keyboard that's hopefully going to be more quiet.
Nah, we love our clickety-clackies.
Not during God Plane.
Fair.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will see you Thursday, hopefully, for God Plane. Be good to yourselves and be excellent to others. Where's my end screen? There it is. Bye, y'all.